There is a carefully constructed lie buried in your garden soil. Every single spring, millions of us participate in a familiar ritual. We march to the garden center to buy tomato seedlings. We plant them. We water them. We fight pests for them. And then at the first sign of frost, we watch them die. We find ourselves trapped in the annual cycle. We have been conditioned to believe that the tomato is a fragile, temperamental vine that demands our constant labor and recurring financial tribute. But what if I told you that the botanical reality is entirely different? What if I told you there is a close relative of the tomato that refuses to die? This is a plant that grows not as a weak, crawling vine, but as a mighty semi-woody tree. It is a biological machine that stands 3 meters tall, shrugs off the changing seasons, and pumps out harvest after harvest for 12 consecutive years without asking for a single seed to be replanted. This is not genetic modification. This is not science fiction. This is Solanum betaceum, known to the few who remember as the Tamarillo. While you are busy nurturing your beefsteaks and romas, which are essentially flavored water, packaged in thin red skin, this tree is producing a fruit so dense in nutrition and complex in flavor that it defies the modern palate. So why is this tree missing from your local supermarket? Why is it absent from the seed racks at the hardware store? The answer is simple, and it is economic. A plant that you plant once and eat from for a decade is a disaster for the business model of modern agriculture. They cannot sell you seeds every year if you do not need them. They cannot sell you specialized fertilizers for delicate vines if you are growing a timber-hard tree that thrives on neglect. You are looking at a fruit that yields up to 20 kilograms per tree per year. It fruits in the winter when your standard garden is dead and barren. It is the ultimate survival crop, and yet modern society treats it like an ornamental oddity. This is the paradox. The most valuable food source is the one they made you forget. To understand the true power of this plant, we must ascend. We must leave the comfortable, irrigated valleys of modern agriculture and climb 2,000 meters into the mist-shrouded peaks of the Andes. Long before the first European ship cast its shadow on the shores of South America, the indigenous people of the cloud forests held a secret. While the coastal tribes cultivated the fragile ancestors of the common tomato in the warmth of the lowlands, the Inca engineers and the mountain tribes needed something else. They needed a crop that possessed the spirit of the mountain itself. They called it the tomate de arbol, the tree tomato. This was not a snack. It was a pillar of food security. In the high altitudes of Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia, the weather is unforgiving. Frosts bite without warning, and the sun burns through the thin atmosphere. The standard tomato Solanum lycopersicum would wither and die in days under these conditions. But the Tamarillo stood firm. It was the guardian of the hearth, growing in the backyard gardens of adobe homes, offering fresh fruit when the grain stores were running low. Archaeological evidence suggests this plant has been serving humanity for centuries, perhaps millennia, in silence. It was the lost crop of the Incas, overshadowed by the global explosion of maize and potatoes. When the Spanish conquistadors arrived, they were looking for gold and commodities that could be easily shipped and grown in the Mediterranean heat. They took the common tomato, the potato, and the chili pepper. But they left the tree tomato behind in the clouds. Why was it left behind? Perhaps because it commanded too much respect. It was not a crop for vast, flat monocultures. It was a companion plant, a semi-wild creature that preferred the cool, stable temperatures of the high tropics. It was food for the locals, not a commodity for the empire. By ignoring it, the West lost access to a genetic lineage that had mastered the art of survival. We traded resilience for convenience. We traded a 12-year provider for a 3-month vine. The ancient wisdom was simple: plant what endures. We, in our modern world, decided to plant what is easy. Walk into the produce section of any major supermarket chain. You are surrounded by an illusion of choice. In reality, you are looking at a curated selection of botanical compliance. Every fruit and vegetable on those shelves has earned its place not by flavor, not by nutrition, but by its ability to survive the brutality of the global supply chain. This is where the Tamarillo was sentenced to obscurity. The modern food industry operates on a single, ruthless principle called shelf stability. The commercial tomato has been engineered to become a red tennis ball. It is harvested green-gassed to simulate ripeness and designed to withstand being dropped into crates and driven 3,000 miles. The Tamarillo refuses to play this game. Its skin is bitter, a natural protective wrapper that demands to be peeled or scooped out. It bruises if treated with disrespect. To a logistics manager, this fruit is a nightmare. It requires an educated consumer, and the industry prefers products that require no explanation. They claim it is too difficult to eat. They say the consumer does not want to use a spoon. But this is a calculated narrative to cover up the real reason for its suppression. The true threat of the Tamarillo is its longevity. The agricultural economy is built on planned obsolescence. It relies on the annual cycle of death and repurchase. The seed giants and fertilizer companies thrive when you have to start over. They need your plants to die every winter, so you return wallet in hand every spring. A tree that produces food for 12 years is financial suicide for a garden center. Imagine if you bought a car that ran for 12 years without needing gas or repairs. The oil companies and mechanics would ban it. That is exactly what happened here. The Tamarillo is an off-grid generator in a world addicted to the power grid. It does not fit the business model of dependency. By keeping this plant off the shelves, they keep you dependent on their weak annual high-maintenance crops. They did not just forget the Tamarillo. They buried it because independence is bad for business. Let us strip away the narrative and examine the biochemistry. When you analyze a standard commercial tomato under a spectroscope, the results are underwhelming. A hothouse tomato is approximately 95% water. It is a hydration vessel with trace amounts of lycopene. The Tamarillo Solanum betaceum operates on a completely different biological tier. It is not just a fruit. It is a dense capsule of survival energy. The first distinction lies in the density of the cellular structure. Because the Tamarillo grows on a semi-woody perennial frame, it has the time and the metabolic capacity to synthesize complex compounds that annual plants simply cannot rush. The data is irrefutable. The Tamarillo contains significantly higher concentrations of vitamins A, B6, C, and E compared to its annual cousin. But the real discrepancy is found in the mineral profile. The levels of iron and calcium in the Tamarillo dwarf those found in the common tomato. This is not accidental. This is the result of a permanent root system. While the annual tomato struggles to establish a shallow fibrous root network in its short 6-month life, the Tamarillo establishes a permanent command center in the soil. Although its roots are deceptively shallow, they form a dense, aggressive mat that mines the soil for years, extracting phosphorus and magnesium with ruthless efficiency. The plant directs these minerals into the fruit pulp, creating a gelatinous matrix rich in pectin. This high pectin content is what allows the fruit to be preserved for months, a natural biological preservative that modern science tries to mimic with chemicals. Then there is the pigment. The deep blood red or purple hue of the Tamarillo skin and flesh is the visual signature of anthocyanins. These are potent flavonoid pigments that function as antioxidants. In the plant, they protect the DNA from UV radiation at high altitudes. In the human body, they combat oxidative stress and inflammation. The common red tomato relies on carotenoids, which are effective, but the Tamarillo delivers a broader spectrum of phytochemical warfare. It is a mistake to call this a vegetable. Biologically, it is a superior evolutionary adaptation designed to deliver maximum nutrient load in a package that resists degradation. It is nature's version of a ration bar, while the tomato is merely flavored water. But understanding this chemistry is only half the battle. To truly break free from the agricultural matrix, you do not need a degree in botany. You simply need to stop playing by their rules. The Tamarillo grants you the ultimate leverage, the power of cloning. While corporations try to sell you hybrid seeds that expire, this tree allows you to print your own food. Take a single dormant branch, cut it the length of your forearm, and bury it in the soil. That is it. No delicate seedlings, no heating mats. In a few months, that stick will become a tree. In a year, it will feed you. This is not just gardening. This is strategic asset accumulation. In a frost-free zone, this tree produces year-round, ignoring the seasons. In the cold, it sleeps in your garage waiting to serve you again. Its thick skin allows the fruit to store for months, a natural pantry that does not require electricity. By planting this, you are voting with your shovel. You are choosing permanence over the disposable culture of the modern supermarket. The industrial machine relies on your dependency. It fears your independence. Do not let this ancient wisdom fade into the mists of history again. If you believe in reclaiming the right to grow food that lasts, leave a like to help this truth bypass the suppression. Share this archive with a neighbor who is ready to wake up. And to uncover more secrets from the lost vault, subscribe to the Ancestral Soil. The empty space in your yard is waiting. Will you fill it with a temporary vine, or will you plant a legacy? The choice is yours. Plant once, eat forever.